Hey there, this is Russell deCarle on, this is my first time on Mic'd. Happy to be here after a bit of a haul getting into town. Yeah.
That works for me, buddy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that haul and how much you hate me right now.
No.
Making you come all the way to South Etobicoke. Welcome to episode 1952 of Toronto Mic'd, an award-winning podcast, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery. Order online at greatlakesbeer.com for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Visit palmapasta.com for more. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. Catch a game at Christie Pitts this summer. No ticket required. Fusion Corp's own Nick Iones. He's the host of Building Toronto Skyline. And Mike and Nick, two podcasts that you ought to listen to. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home. Pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making his in-person Toronto Mic'd debut, it is indeed Russell deCarle. Nice to meet you, man.
Hey, nice to be here.
You said you came from away. Like how far away did you come from today?
Oh, a good hour and a half anyway, the drive. I live near a little place called Janetville, which always sounds like a Stephen King novel to me, but it's a village, and I have a place out in the country outside of Janetville. I've been living since 1995 with a partner, and we bought that place. It's 125 acres tucked away in an old pioneer farm.
Wow.
And, on an unassumed road that we grade and plow, and yeah, it's pretty great.
Do you churn your own butter up there?
We don't churn our own butter. We do a lot of other stuff that we garden. We do heavily into gardening.
Okay. Any, it's funny. I think of the name Prairie Oyster, and we're going to get into it very shortly here. But I always think, what is a Prairie Oyster? And then I wonder, is it anything like a road apple, right? The Tragically Hip had an album called Road Apples. I got the vinyl right here.
Yeah.
And I always think, you're Janetville. Maybe there's road apples there. But what's a Prairie Oyster before we get any further?
There are some road apples along there from horses, of course.
Bet.
But an oyster is there's a few meanings. It's a byproduct of steering, which is the delicate way of putting it. It's a drink for a hangover, which is a raw egg and a hair of the dog and Tabasco and spice to taste. In the Depression, it was in the prairies. It was a cracker with seafood sauce on it.
Okay, so multiple. Which one, though, inspired the name of your band?
Well, the name came from our original drummer, our buddy Alistair Dennett, who I'm still close with, and his mother, Pam, came up with that name. We had the band kind of put together the original version back in the 70s, and we had a few gigs booked, and we'd get together and rehearse and try to come up with a band name. It couldn't come. She finally suggested the name, and she got the term from a son-in-law of hers, who grew up in actually North Dakota, but ended up becoming a famous marine biologist. How that happens?
Oh, like George Costanza.
Yeah.
He was a marine.
Exactly, man. Yes.
You reached in and he pulled out the golf ball, right? You remember that one? Hey, so I'm looking at you. You're doing a move I want to start doing, which is you're wearing the blue striped shirt, which brings out the blue in your eyes. Like
wow.
This, is it on purpose?
No, I just love it. I love an engineer stripe, man. I'm a sucker for an engineer stripe. It's a vintage.
It does look like an engineer.
Shirt that's like a classic engineer stripe. And I used to buy jeans like this at the original Thrifty before it became a franchise over at Queen and Church Street on the northeast corner, and back when it was a Western wear shop, and I bought my first pair of Fry boots there, and yeah.
Okay, and that's are we going back to the 70s with that one?
Yeah, early 70s.
Because I want
late 60s actually.
Late 60s. Wow. Because I do want to get you back to Queen Street and talk about the scene there. So let me just set the table just a little bit here by saying this is episode 1952, and I like to drop a little. I'm trying to drop a little Toronto fact about that calendar year. So you're here for episode 1952, and I'm going to tell you a couple of fun facts about the year 1952. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
we got our first TV station. So the first television station in Ontario began broadcasting in Toronto. It was, of course, CBLT. So it was on the air in 1952.
Wow.
There you go. Fun fact. Okay. And then second fun fact, which is kind of timely here. The very first English broadcast of Hockey Night in Canada was televised from Maple Leaf Gardens. So this like tradition, are you a hockey fan by any chance?
I'm not a big hockey fan.
Not a big hockey guy. Well, this tradition's over now. Like, so it began in 1952. They broadcast Hockey Night in Canada on CBC, and just Rogers, which owns the rights, has decided we're no longer going to air games over the air, like you could pick up with like rabbit ears or whatever, like on CBC. So it's the end of an era.
Truly, yeah. That's sad.
But how did you avoid becoming a hockey fan growing up in this country?
You know, I enjoyed it when I was a kid. I just never really played a lot of hockey as a kid. I certainly played street hockey and watched a lot of hockey when I was a kid, back when the 16s.
Just you had other things going on.
I did.
You had a music career.
Well, before playing music, it was a little later on, but had a nice upbringing. I was a kid in King City, which was just a little town then, but it was the nice thing about that it was kind of a rural upbringing, but we were close enough later on. We were close enough to Toronto that we weren't complete hicks from the sticks, so that was kind of great. I got to go to Yorkville and experience some of that, and lots of great music.
Yeah, amazing. So one thing that strikes me is you're not from the prairies.
No,
but people might assume you're from the prairies because your band.
They do assume that, yes, a lot. It's a popular misconception in this country that we're from.
Do they say you're appropriating that culture? Anybody upset with you? Like, well, who are you from King City?
I haven't heard that yet. No, mostly people are very supportive of us.
I'm the only asshole who's calling you out for that.
It had to happen.
Better late than never. So do you know what? I'm curious if you have any clue, like what made me suddenly wake up one day and said, I wonder if Russell deCarle would pay me a visit in South Etobicoke. Do you have any clue?
Well, let's see. I get my hair cut about a block from here from a dear friend who's been cutting my hair since 1986 or 85.
And you got a good head of hair.
I do have I still have a lid. I just have a lid, man.
Who's cutting your hair? Do you want to shout him out? Like I'm looking. My barber.
My friend
moved
Sandra Barnes. My friend Sandra Barnes. She used to have a shop years ago. I met her years ago through my buddy Teddy Franklin, or Teddy Fury, as he's known professionally.
Wow.
As a drummer and a bartender, famous bartender and drummer, and great pal. And he introduced me to Sandra years ago. I think Ted was probably still in the Bobcats then, but she had a shop on Queen Street, just west of, on the south side west of Spadina, called Bebop, and that's where I met her. So when I moved out of Toronto, I tell people there's two things that I kept, the two most important things: a barber and a doctor. I kept in Toronto.
That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. Okay. Well, I just so happens it's funny. I just accused you of appropriating prairie culture. Oh, prairie. You know what? I was confused. My brain right now, and I've married two girls, prairie girls, but I was thinking, oh, my barber moved to the prairies. My barber moved to the Maritimes, okay? So not the prairies here. The completely different part of this wonderful country here. So I won't even tie that up, but I am looking for a new barber. I'm just throwing it out there if Sandra's listening right now.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah.
You're gonna broker that deal, okay? Because much like you, I got a great head of hair. It's important that this is in the hands of somebody who's who's excellent. So if you get the Russell deCarle hair, then you're probably worthy of the Toronto Mike hair. So here we are. So we're going back to the 1970s, okay? Because you mentioned Prairie Oyster forms, like probably like 74 or something like that.
It was about 74 before that, and that came out of a group that Keith and I were in. Keith Glass, my boyhood chum and playpen mate in King City. Yeah, we have a long history. We had a band called the King City Slickers, along with our boyhood chum Bob Wallace, and it was kind of a bluegrassy country band, and we played all over Toronto back in the early 70s with that group. And then when that split up, Keith and I kind of wanted to do some more, we were getting into kind of listening to Western swing music and early country stuff, and decided we wanted to do something different. So along with our friend Dennis DeLorme, who we met, who was from Oshawa originally, but had a long history with the Peterborough music scene.
Okay, so Keith, Dennis, and you, Russell, you guys form You're like a trio. You're Prairie Oyster. We talked about where that name came from.
Yeah.
1974. I'm officially like putting a pin in the whole, do you know why you're here? Because I'm actually going to save that little mind blow for, why did I reach out to Russell and get him in the South Etobicoke Basin? So there's a pin in that now because we're getting to this origin story, because I'm telling you, I went to YouTube and I watched, this is true story, Russell, I watched an NFB documentary. It's a short little film. I watched Heavy Horse Pull.
Yeah.
I watched it because I heard, okay, this is like the first, am I right? This is the first time Prairie Oyster would be broadcast on television. Am I right about that? Or one of the first times, maybe? But you're in that, your music is in there.
Yeah. We did the soundtrack at our friend Vasey's studio in Kensington Sound, which is still there. That would have been 1970, because let's see, Kid Carson was our drummer at that point. That would have been 1976, I think that was. So we had done stuff before that.
Okay, so you'd been on television before that, but you didn't record any music in this first iteration, right?
No, we didn't start recording until 83, I think.
Okay, but here's what I get. So I'm reading up on, the ongoing history of Prairie Oyster. By the way, that film, Heavy Horse Pull, which I quite enjoyed, I'm going to read the description, okay? So it's directed by Roberta King and Ronald Squire. Came out in 1977. This lighthearted and quaint short documentary takes us to a horse pulling contest in Ontario and the people who prepare for them. It travels from the farm to the contest where excitement runs high and the quips do not lack in local color. So I watch this thing. Your music is all over this thing. And then I read that Prairie Oyster breaks up in 1978. So can you, us dummies out there, so Prairie Oyster was a thing, and then tell us why do you guys break up, and then what happens that you're sort of like a phoenix, you rise from the ashes and Prairie Oyster is reformed, and then the rest is history.
I'm trying.
Explain yourself.
I'm trying to remember how we ended up breaking up. I don't know that I could remember that. We had a pretty good run considering. I mean, we did a lot of television in the early days of the band before we were probably we were on major television shows without having a record.
Like what kind of shows?
We were the house band. Oh God, there was a country special. Was it called "Country in My Soul"? Maybe no, is that it? I can't remember the name of it. With Carol Baker and this guy Tim Daniels.
She's on Tears Are Not Enough.
Yeah, we were on a few other things as well, other TV shows. But I remember. Oh, we did a ton of George Hamilton IV, who's an American artist, had a TV show out of CKLH out of Hamilton, or CHCH for years, and I think we did that show a half a dozen times.
Did you ever do Tommy Hunter?
Yeah, but that was later. We didn't do Tommy Hunter with the original group. But we were also back then. We were 76, 77. We were the house band at the Horseshoe, the original Horseshoe on Queen Street when it was the big room, the Boom Boom Room, truly. And we would play there from Thursday to. No, I guess we did 4 or 5 nights a week there. We'd do a week a month there for 2 years. It was amazing.
That is amazing, but something causes you guys to say we're done. Prairie Oyster's done, 1978.
Yeah, and I can't recall if that was me or we just kind of ran out of juice or whatever. Yeah.
So 1982, or only 4 years later, what causes the Prairie Oyster to be reunited, and then what's the difference between the 1982 band and the 1974 band?
Well, let's see. Between the breakup, Keith started his own band called the Glass Band. It was kind of more of a rock and roll kind of R&B thing with twinges of country, and he asked me to be the bass player. I was the bass player in that group for a while as a side guy, and that was a lot of fun. And then I packed that one in just due to some personal stuff, and took a bit of time off. And then I started working again with a duo, Chris Whiteley and Caitlin Hanford. Chris Whiteley, of course, is a national treasure. Caitlin's a wonderful singer and writer, and they were an item at that point. They aren't now, but they were then. And I ended up playing bass for those guys, and we were doing these kind of country bars, and I thought, man, there was just something. I thought, maybe it's time to, I don't know, do something with Oyster. I just felt, that it was time to do something, and I guess talked to Keith and Dan. I don't know who all. I can't really recall how it came together. We decided we were going to do a couple of reunion gigs, just a couple of shows, and then it felt so good. We ended up staying together and we recorded our first single in I think January '83, I believe it came out. And that was an old tune called "Juke Joint Johnny" with a flip side that Keith wrote called give it a little more time. And we put that out on just as a single, which you could actually do then, on a label called 16th Avenue, which was run by this guy, Stan Campbell, who we knew from CFGM. He was a DJ and his wife, and who I'm embarrassed, I can't recall her name.
It's okay. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's been a minute, as they say.
And we got great response to that record, so we ended up staying together. The group did, and then we recorded our second single in, I think, July of that year, and that was an old George Jones tune, kind of a rumba tune called Rain, Rain that we did. With Chris Whiteley sitting on mariachi trumpet.
Well, why don't we hear a bit of that, just to give us a taste of some early Prairie Oyster as we kind of get to know you better and learn more about the band, what you're up to now.
Wow.
Rain, rain, keeps falling down, beats on my tin roof, falls on the ground. Come down the chimney, nobody lend me money so I can go to town. Oh, well, I got no money, can't meet my honey, and I know she's waiting in town. Rain, rain, just keeps on falling down the windpipe on the ground. I can hear her calling with every drop of falling, beating on my window pane. I keep her wishing, longing for a kiss, and it's driving me insane. Rain, rain, go away.
All right, Russell, you're listening to Rain, Rain in the headphones here. I need to know, what are you thinking? What are you feeling?
I'm thinking that I sure am a better singer now, but it kind of holds up. The track is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's funny listening to that. I think of all the people that said, "Wow, the Mavericks, were those guys a big influence on you?" I'm thinking, this was just a little bit pre Maverick days. As much as I like those guys and they were good pals, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you sound great on this track, but you sound great now. I'm going to prove that in a moment when I blow your mind as to how the heck you ended up in this basement. Okay, I'm teasing that like this is like radio or something. But I have a question about. So you talked about Oyster tracks, right? This is on Stony Plain Records.
Yeah, that
right?
was after we released two singles that had three tracks on them, and then a couple of years later we recorded our first album, and we incorporated those three singles, and then cut some other songs. Yeah.
Okay, and that's Oyster tracks. So
Yes.
True or false? You're on the hot seat here, Russell. So get ready here. RCA Records, right? So they hear Stony Plain Records. Is it true or false that they wanted you to change the name of the band from Prairie Oyster to something else?
Yeah, that was later on. That was when we first
That's later.
That's when we got signed by RCA and RCA Nashville. We had a major US deal, Joe Galante, who was the head of RCA Nashville, and they ran it by radio, and radio said, "Oh, it's Prairie Oyster, I don't know that name," and then they just decided, yeah, we'll just keep that name.
It's actually a cool name. Like I love the name Prairie Oyster, but I am Canadian. Maybe that's the
it's
difference.
funny to me. I mean, you just don't think you're going to be talking about it 40 years later, or
right. Well, I think it's a cool name. Okay, so you guys didn't change. Obviously, you didn't kowtow, pun intended, to this RCA nonsense. And then you see what I'm doing. Prairie Oyster, keeping the name here, but that's a big label. So
yeah, we had a major US deal. We had an international deal with them. We got to play. A lot. Well, I toured all over the States a ton. Of course, all over Canada and in Europe a lot.
how many Juno Awards have you won in Prairie Oyster?
Six Junos.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any memory of how many times you were nominated?
7, I think.
Well, that's a good average, man.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good average. You're 6 for 7.
Not so bad.
That's not so bad here. You win your first Junos in 86, I believe, right? 86 and 87. You're country group or duo of the year at the Juno Awards. So here's what I would like to do before I play some of you, post Prairie Oyster. We're still kind of diving into some of the hot topics of Prairie Oyster. But I'm wondering if we could talk about this, like you talked about Queen Street, the scene there, because I've had pretty in-depth conversations with people like Jim Cuddy, for example, and we'll talk about this scene where it was like a country-esque rocky scene on Queen Street. You guys were like so formidable and such a key part of this scene. Like, can you paint a picture for me? I'll close my eyes here, literally. Like, tell me, what was it like in the 80s on Queen Street with this kind of music that you guys were playing in Prairie Oyster?
It was pretty amazing. At that point, we had started touring, though. So, I mean, I can kind of think of our heyday there, the late 70s. Okay. And then, because, like I said, we were, and at that point, the shoe was still, it was just kind of, it was still really rooted in, there was still a lot of traditional country artists playing
still
there.
Like Stompin' Tom land, or what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. And some other country artists that would play there. I remember seeing Kitty Wells and Johnny Wright there, and Hank Williams Jr., people like that playing there. And before it, got kind of funky, but we were kind of that bridge, I think, the band that, I guess I can see we were the house group there for 2 years. And then the 80s scene in Toronto was amazing, really. I mean, there was just so much entertainment, so many places to play, and just in every bag, which has always been a great thing about Toronto. It's always been such a melting pot stylistically.
Yeah, but there was definitely a moment where I don't know what the term would be, country rock, or it was happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think of people like, certainly Blue Rodeo, which had kind of a country influence for sure. They did,
without a doubt,
no question. And having talked to Jim and Greg over the years, I remember that one of the first things that we really had in common was the fact that we both loved Dillard and Clark, which was Doug Dillard, who was the banjo player from the band called the Dillards. The Dillards were a huge influence on me, certainly musically, and on those guys, on Jim and Greg too, and Gene Clark, who had been in the original Birds, and so we were all influenced by that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and when you talk to guys like Greg, well, mainly Jim, I guess, but both. Handsome Ned is a name they like to tout.
I remember when Ned kind of came on the scene. He was quite a bit after us, but yeah. And he had quite an influence.
Well, you must have been an influence too, because they went to like New York and then they came back, and that was kind of a fundamental time for the formation of Blue Rodeo. But you're the one with the you're releasing the album on for RCA in the United States of America.
Yeah,
like Different Kind of Fire is an RCA album.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like we say, we got signed by Joe Galante, who was the heaviest cat in the world, and he was the first guy to sell a million-selling album, of country record. So we were in pretty good company there. I mean, some of the people we couldn't relate to musically so much, but the other artists on the label, people like Foster and Lloyd, Bill and Radney, they were on that label. Joel Saunier was on that label. We all hung out together. Matresa Berg, we were all hanging out together a lot. And then there was Alabama and on and on and on, just other artists. But we had a good time. We had a great time certainly touring through the States. We saw lots of great stuff, and we saw kind of the tail end of the great original radio stations down there before it became so corporate. Before radio started getting bought up. Right and left, and everything was being programmed. And the first thing you would see them do would be to get rid of anybody with a regional accent off the air, so that it all sounded the same, so that they could sell ads to these, out of New York and L.A., so they could say, "This is what our station's going to sound like." And so it would be kind of the same, sadly. But we got to tour around, and during tours we'd do these stops at local radio stations, and we still caught a lot of kind of the original regional stuff. That was kind of the last of that, that stuff before it really died off completely. And that was pretty remarkable for us. Hearing you said sad, I think it's absolutely tragic what's happened to radio. Oh yeah.
What's the clear? What's the name of that? The chain, whatever, that sort of bought up all the stations, and like you said, it's all like homogenized and cookie cutter across the country. But this time you're describing, where you had like a local talent, and it was like the local sales and the local ownership and stuff. That's the heyday of radio. That's
truly, and people got into it because they really loved it, and it was kind of music first, and ads to keep the music on the air, and then it flipped. It was really about ads and the music between the ads. It seems, sadly,
a Clear Channel, I think, is what they were called, if I remember correctly. And then I think that name was had such a negative connotation. I think they rebranded to iHeartRadio or something like that. But really sad. And it's happening here too, of course.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I know we actually have a new country station, but I never hear anyone talk about it.
No, I don't really listen. I don't really find much to listen to on any of that stuff anymore. Those stations, but Alex, I'm glad that we were around at a time. Also, those were the days when really you could have a breakout somewhere because somebody would start spinning something, or they'd flip a record over and play the B-side, and all of a sudden this hit would end, and it would start to mushroom. It was beautiful.
So many great stories like that.
Yeah, that could happen then.
Yeah, and sometimes they'd start playing a song that was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like there's stories out there where it's like, oh, he started playing this song and people were requesting it. And this is how Rush broke, okay? Rush breaks in Cleveland because the program director there got an album from a guy here named Bob Roper. And Bob Roper sends it to Donna Halpern in Cleveland. And she just starts playing the song Working Man because her buddy in Canada sent her this new album from a new group. And next thing you know, Cleveland is going nuts for Rush, and Rush breaks.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Okay. So I'm going to take a moment to make it worth your while because I feel bad I made you drive so far. We're just getting warmed up here, Russell.
Is this where you passed me the big fat envelope? Is that what's going on?
Pretty
here?
much. You know what?
Wow.
Pretty much.
Still so good to be me. I could hardly stand it.
We'll talk about the envelope later, actually. That's why you're here. But you're giving me the envelope here. Thanks, pass it over. Okay. I'll just make sure you know you're going back to, I even took a note. I don't want to forget the name of this wonderful place, Janetville.
Yeah.
Okay. You're returning to Janetville, and you and your partner live there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sending you home with a large frozen lasagna from Palma Pasta. Do you enjoy Italian food?
Oh, God, yes, I certainly do.
Okay, it's worth the drive.
I feel like 3 times a day, man.
Well, you're going to have enough pasta to get you through the week. This is a lot of lasagna, and it's delicious. So thank you to Palma Pasta for sending over a lasagna here for Russell deCarle, okay? I also have fresh craft beer that was brewed right here in Southern Etobicoke. This is from Great Lakes Brewery. That's also going to Janetville with you.
Wonderful.
Man. Yeah, so you got beer, you got pasta. What else can I give you?
I like the Great Lakes stuff. This is working. It's great.
Yeah, well, listen.
I'm a pretty cheap date.
You know what? You can go to a lot of shows and get nothing.
It's only Monday.
All you get is a parking ticket. But you come here, you get lasagna, you get pasta, you got
parking tickets are usually a given. Yeah.
Well, you're in my driveway right now.
Yeah,
if you get a ticket, it's from me.
Appreciate that.
You didn't know it was not free parking here, Russell. You got to cough up $20 there. Measuring tape, Russell. I don't know what's going on at Janetville, but
you always use a measuring tape.
So thank you to Ridley Funeral Home for your measuring tape.
Wow. When you said earlier on, what did you say? Filler or?
I know. I said pillar of the community.
Pillar, and I heard that as killer.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just
which
mumbling
I think I prefer, but.
Well, that's what that is. That's a make work
killer of the community. Yeah.
That creates demand for their services, right? Because they need dead people to be successful.
Apparently.
So kill people. That's how it works. I always try to nail the P in pillar, but I have been told by multiple people they hear killer. And I don't know if it's because of my, my Toronto accent over here, Russell. I have no idea. But pillar, I got to pop that P.
Pop that P, man.
I have a book for you.
Are you from Toronto? Sorry.
Yeah. Born at St. Joe's in Parkdale.
Yeah. No, well.
I'm one of those guys.
My buddy Willie P. Bennett, the late, great Willie P. Bennett, lived right across the street from that hospital. I spent a lot of time looking at that hospital from Willie's place.
Glad to hear the number of artists who have called Parkdale home. Lengthy list of talented people who call Parkdale home. So
that was my neighborhood for a long time.
Okay, yeah, it's still happening here. Okay, I want to make sure I give you the book from Toronto Maple Leafs baseball, because if you're ever in Toronto and there's a game at Christie Pitts, it's worth the drive. It's worth the subway ride, whatever, to Christie Pitts to sit on that hill and take in baseball. Because, Russell, do you know what it costs for a ticket?
No.
You sitting down?
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Because you can't stand up. You'll hit your head.
No.
$0, 0 cents. These tickets are absolutely free.
My God.
Great baseball, too, man.
Yeah,
great times, too.
Truly.
What else
baseball should be played outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, the dome does open, but
it's not.
Still, your beer there is $20. Okay, go to Christie Pitts.
Yeah.
Last but not least, actually, you know what? I'm out of gifts, but you got the book. Out of gifts, but I want to thank quickly Nick Iones from Building Toronto Skyline. He's got Karen Stintz on the show next week. Karen just made her Toronto Mic debut last week, so that'll be interesting to hear what Karen says to Nick about affordable housing in Toronto. And last but not least, Russell, in Janetville, if you have old electronics, old devices, old cables, I don't want you throwing that stuff in the garbage because those chemicals end up in our landfill.
Absolutely.
Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where you can drop that off to be properly recycled. You got it?
I got it.
Yeah, making sure you got it.
Oh, I got it.
You got it here.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Okay, so you are, and you don't have to be specific here. We don't want to dox anybody, but there is a gentleman in my neighborhood who invites talented people like you to play his backyard.
True. Is this a true or false? It's just
well, that's true because
that is true.
I know that to be true. Okay, so this gentleman, do you want to name this gentleman?
Bob Clark.
Bob Clark, and not the guy who made Porky's.
No.
Different guy.
No.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that.
Well, the guy who made Porky's is dead, actually. But he also made Black Christmas, which was a great movie. So, and did he make A Christmas Story? Oh my goodness. Okay, a lot of great movies from that guy.
But you digress.
Different guy. I'm digressing the hell over here. But this guy, this came to my attention. I had Michael Boguski over, who plays keyboards for Blue Rodeo.
Yeah.
And he's telling me, oh yeah, me and Cleve Anderson are going to play this guy's backyard. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, he's in your neighborhood, New Toronto, it's called, this neighborhood.
Yeah, man.
And he's like, he's like, Cleve Anderson's just going to, from Battered Wives is going to be, and Blue Rodeo is going to be playing this guy's backyard. And then I find out Russell deCarle, formerly from Prairie Oyster, we'll get to why it's formerly in a minute, but like, this is kind of amazing. Like, you can play backyards.
I can.
I don't think people realize great musicians like you. It sounds amazing.
They are amazing. They're house concerts, yard concerts. I played one last in Mississauga last Thursday evening, and played at Bob's earlier on this summer, and it was a blast. I did it with my trio with Russ Boswell on bass and Steve Briggs on guitar, and it's amazing. I love playing those shows, and we play the same. I always tell people we play the same whether we play for 20 people or 20,000, so it doesn't matter. It's just,
right. Well, I podcast the same way.
Yeah,
for 20 people or 20 million. But Russell, I got audio from Bob, so I'm going to play some of this. This is how you sounded in this New Toronto backyard this past summer. You ready?
Wow.
Right.
One down. I had a special request for this song. This is a song that I recorded, wrote and recorded with the Prairie Oysters. This was our first #1 single. Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Such a long. You think you're the only one. Oh, will crumble today. Love walked away. You thought that he'd already made up his mind. You were the last one to know. How could he hurt you so? You feel as cold as an October sun, but outside your window the sun's beating down. Time doesn't stop for your broken heart. The world keeps on turning around. Walk on with your head steady when he passes by, and like the moon turns the tide, a new love will dry your
Not quite a Doug McClement recording, but man,
Doug McClement. Wow. A long
that's my
history with
go-to.
Doug McClement. What a cat.
Comfort Sound, right?
He's the bar, man. Yeah.
That's my bar there. So,
Yeah.
but this is obviously on a phone, just a video recording. But honestly, I get chills. Like, this is happening down the street. You're in the backyard. Like, how long a set? This is, by the way, Such a Lonely One, which I think might be the first Prairie Oyster song that I was aware of because I never listened to your genre, man. Like I was a little bit, I thought I was allergic to country back in the day. It turns out I wasn't. It was something else that was giving me that rash. But how long a set would you do in somebody's backyard?
Oh, we did a couple sets. Played for a couple hours probably.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Any,
It's amazing, you know.
curfews enforced or what? Like
food and beer, and it's incredible.
You know what? Like a short walk for me. I'm gonna next time you're playing Bob Clark's backyard, I'm there, man. I'll bring the beer. I'll bring the Great Lakes.
All right.
Okay, so great song, and just a fun fact is Bob Clark and I were chatting about you being in the hood, and I'm like, I'm gonna make him drive all the way back to the hood. I'm gonna get this. I want to talk to this guy, so I want to say thank you right now. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, and thanks, Bob.
Oh, thanks, Bob.
People like Bob, he's one of those people that make our world go around.
Yeah.
Like really, just the generosity has never ceases to amaze me that people have.
He supports the arts.
Truly, yeah.
You're an artist, man.
Pretty great.
Yeah. Great hair and great music. So that's all it takes
all right.
here. Okay, that's enough compliments for you. Okay.
I've been called a lot of things.
Some chatter here. I'll bring you down here. But Prairie Oyster. So can you give me a taste? Like what? Because I've only ever lived in one city. What level of success do you enjoy in the United States? I know how big you are in Canada, but
for a while we had pretty good success. That's a while ago. I mean, we never had a hit record there. I think we had singles in the top 30, which is pretty good. But we did have a #1 video, so we'd be touring, by bus, and we'd be in the middle of somewhere in the middle of New Mexico, getting fueled up, and we'd get out and stretch our legs and maybe grab something to eat or something. And somebody go, "Oh, you're those guys. You're One Precious Love. You're that band."
Wow.
So that was pretty wild. Yeah. And America's kind of a different world. Like audiences, I loved playing there. The audiences were fantastic. And as our drummer pointed out one time at a show, he said, "Well, we were opening a show. We were doing shows with Kathy Mattea. And we'd get standing ovations. It was amazing. We'd get encores as an opening act. And he said, well, Americans don't need Canadians to tell them whether it's good or not. So they go out to be entertained.
Is that because we share this long border with such a massive, media giant and economic giant that we just have this like self-esteem problem?
Yeah, possibly.
Like,
I don't know that exists anymore. I mean,
I think it does.
Yeah, it still does.
I think there's still there'll be talent, be it like singers or actors or whatever, and then television stars, whatever. But we'll decide. I don't know. We'll shoot. We like to eat our young in this country, so we'll shoot you down or whatever.
You don't like to get so famous,
right? And then
before you start getting called uppity.
Good point. So we'll knock you down because you're up there, and then we'll okay, goodbye to you. And then because you're talented, and I'm saying you like the royal you, but because you're talented, the Americans will embrace you, and then you'll see success in the United States, and then all of a sudden we'll be like, oh, you are good. America says you're good. Oh, you are good. Please come back. We love you. We love you. You're so good.
Yeah, I don't know if that still exists. Maybe it does. I don't pay any attention to that kind of stuff anymore, really. So it's possible that it still exists, sadly.
But is that liberating to not have to give a shit about that? Whether who cares?
No, I mean, I don't know that we ever did really too much. I mean, of course, you would have liked to have had would have been nice to have made a bigger splash, but it was good. Had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, you get to tour playing your music, which you love to do.
Met lots of great musicians. Got to play with lots of great musicians, and we were kind of a favorite of a lot of players too, which was great. And so yeah.
Well, do you want to shout out any of these musicians that you got to play with?
Well, tons. I mean, whenever anybody asks you, so who have you played with? And I always say Doug Somm, and Doug Somm or Douglas Quintet, and a lot of people have no idea who Doug is, but he was absolutely the heaviest player I ever worked with, and we got to actually play with him a lot in Canada, and we would back him up at festivals and do shows and stuff with Doug, and he had to be a good buddy, and I think I hear that guy every day. He died way too young, but he was an amazing cat. I mean, all kinds of people, people like Vince Gill. Long before Vince was, he was still kind of struggling as an artist. Hadn't hit it yet with When I Call Your Name, when he got signed to MCA and Tony Brown. That stuff started to happen for him. I don't know, all kinds of people.
Okay, well, decades and so many great songs from Prairie Oyster. Just because you're here and you made the trek, I'm actually going to play a little bit more of another Prairie Oyster song. And then, of course, we will move beyond Prairie Oyster. You can imagine one of my questions. But let me play a bit of
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Unbelievable.
I work hard all week long, and the boss gives me my pay. The bills are in the mailbox, so I give my money away. Seems like everybody wants something from me. I can't ever give enough, but you give me unbelievable love. I don't win at poker, I won the lottery. No rich uncle ever passed away and left his fortune to me. But when it comes to finding you, baby, I can't believe my luck, because you give me unbelievable love. Whoa, 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 whoa. You give me unbelievable love.
Okay, Russell, so we played some live Such a Lonely One, live from New Toronto, just not too long ago, a couple months ago, whatever. That went to #1 in this country, and then we talked about all your Juno success, but you win for Country Group or Duo of the Year. You win in both 95 and 96. And of course, Such a Lonely One was from Only One Moon. That's your 4th album. But then your 5th album has this track on it, Unbelievable Love, which also goes to #1. So
I forgot all about this song.
you went to #1.
Yeah, but
You had too many hits in this country, in the country charts here. So, you're doing well at the Junos. You got hit country songs coming out. I got to ask you, so at some point, Prairie Oyster breaks up.
yeah, well, we just kind of ground to a halt, I think, in a way. I think we'd done all that stuff. We went for a while with that recording, and then our last album, so we had been finished with our deal. We were with RCA and BMG for years, and that came to a halt. And then I think we were a long time between our last album, which I feel still is our best.
Which one?
Effort. One Kiss.
Okay.
And that album we made on our own and then put it out through Open Road Recordings, following Ron Kitchener, who we knew. And we recorded that at Keith Glass's studio up in Perth, when he had a studio up there. And our buddy L. Stu Young, great engineer that I use all the time now, he mixed it for us. And then we did a little bit of touring with that album, and then just kind of ground to a halt. I think that we just, who knows, the energy just
ran out of
there.
gas.
Yeah, kind of ran out of gas. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just to give people a little time context here. So One Kiss, which you mentioned, came out on Open Road Recordings. That's 2006.
Was it really? Okay, yes. And I think we did our last tour in 2011. So yeah, so we got some mileage out of that record.
Okay, so your last tour is 2011, and then in the in-between, you do get inducted into the Canadian Country Music Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2008.
Yeah.
So Prairie Oyster is being recognized and going concern, and then it just, like, do you guys have a meeting or something, and you just say, hey, let's do other stuff now?
No, there's no meeting. No, I don't know. Just ran out of gas. I don't know. Ground to a halt. I don't know if ground to a halt, but it just kind of, we had our own things going on. It seemed like everybody kind of did. I started doing my own stuff. I did a tour that was kind of life-changing for me in 2004 with Merle Haggard, and that kind of changed my life.
Like a solo tour?
Yeah.
Tell me how that changed your life.
Well, I got a call, 2003, I got a call from a promoter, Paul Merks, and he had seen me on a tour a songwriting tour that I was doing. It was from Halifax to Vancouver, and he saw me in Vancouver. And I was on it with my buddy Hayden Neal, and the late great.
Yeah.
And he and I did the whole thing, coast to coast. Other people would kind of get on and off, but Hayden and I did the whole deal. We just had a ball together. Anyway, Paul had seen me there, and he said, I thought, I'm doing this tour with Merle Haggard, and I thought that you'd be great for an opening act. And so I said, well, do you want a band? Or he said, well, not really, maybe one other person. And I hadn't really, so I thought I'd give Steve Briggs, who I knew, I'd met a couple of times. I think we'd played a few tunes together at some kind of Ontario folk conference thing or something at some point. But I thought I'd give him a call, and so I did. I called him. His wife, Kristen, answered the phone, and I said, Steve would be interested in doing a Merle Haggard with me. She said, yes. So I thought she either wanted him out of the house, or she knew that Steve was a big Merle fan, or maybe a fan
or
of
both.
mine. Anyway, that went really well, and we've been playing together ever since. But it was kind of life-changing. It was, I've been used to playing big venues, but it was pretty wild doing it as a duo and getting to tell my own story, doing my own material. I think I did one or two Oyster songs, maybe, and the rest was original material of mine.
Well, so multiple places I got to go now, but one is if maybe make a moment or two more about the late Hayden Neal. So Jack Soul, Going Concern, and it was very sudden and tragic. Died far too soon, but sounds like you guys were pretty tight.
We were. We met. They were the kind of the new guys on the label, and those guys in Treble Charge, I remember. And we were the old guard at the but we really connect with all those guys in a big way. We could all relate. Hayden and I had a ball together. He was a talented, wonderful character. And I was just thinking more about the Oyster thing. How a lot of was what we put that record out. There'd been a bit of a time lag between our last BMG album and then this record. And God, we could barely get arrested with this record. And I thought, this is unbelievable. I remember being at the last Country Music Awards that we were at, and I guess it was the year that we were nominated for or we were inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh wait.
Yeah, and I thought, man, these guys eat their old here. It's like we could have used a leg up at that point. We had a new record out, fairly recent record. We could have used a spot in the show. Of course, they didn't give it to us on air, the award. And I looked around that time thinking, man, one of our lousiest selling records, we would have sold more hard copies than everybody that was on that show this year put together. And it was very odd to me. I found that very, very weird. That I really felt we could have used some more support. And I guess we didn't have a management team or a label kind of going to bat for us, but still,
Well, the game is rigged.
It was somewhat. I don't know about that, but it's certainly a little bit disrespectful. I thought in a way.
So that's like because you've already had this experience, kind of as without Prairie Oyster, you had that Merle Haggard tour you talked about, and then you have this big moment for Prairie Oyster, which is in 2008, the Canadian Country Music Hall. But you feel maybe a little disrespected, or
a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think maybe I feel some people were maybe happy to see us go because we did win a lot of stuff. But whatever. Maybe people were happy to put us out to pasture. And then where that became really so, one of the great things about doing the Merle tour that ties in with this is that here was a guy he was 67 years old then in 2004. And he would go out and do a show, never used a set list. And, I thought, when I got onto this tour, I thought, well, I may not even meet him. A lot of these cats, I know they stay on their bus. They come to the show and they go back on the bus. Well, Merle, we started the tour at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre in Vancouver. And Merle was there working the band for about an hour and a half at soundcheck. It was incredible. And then he was teaching guys what he wanted them to play on a particular song. A couple nights later, they'd do this song. He never used a set list. He was singing better than he ever had, and he was writing as good a songs as he had ever written still. And he couldn't get arrested on the radio, so I thought, okay, I'm in pretty good company here. Right. He can't get arrested either. And so that was very inspiring. He was also Merle, for me, he was probably my single most musical influence.
Wow.
As a musician too. I mean, he was one of those guys to me that really transcended. He's as important a figure in American roots music, certainly, I think, as Chuck Berry or or Louis Armstrong. And I mean, he just for his own body of work, and then turning people on to people like Bob Wilson, the Texas Playboys, and Jimmy Rogers, singing Brakeman, and Lefty Frizzell, people like that. An important guy. So that was very inspiring doing that tour with him.
Well, hearing you talk about Merle there makes me wonder if one day in the future, if I could somehow, maybe I entice you with another lasagna, more beer, whatever, but if I can get you back here one day where we play and discuss like your 10 favorite songs, like inspiring songs, or 10 great songs that you've always loved that have inspired you, whatever. Like, so we can kind of educate this, because I know when hearing you drop those names, it's like, oh yeah, like this is some cool music that I feel I missed in my youth that I got to catch up on. And I feel like you'd be a good tour guide for that experience.
Yeah, I could.
Just a vibe, like one day. I'm not gonna say you don't have to come back Friday or whatever. But how about Saturday? Just kidding. Okay, but in the future, yeah, in the future, that would be amazing if we could put that together.
That's a definite maybe.
That's a definitely maybe. This guy's the Gallagher brother here. Okay, so no more Prairie Oyster. Okay, so before I talk to you about the Russell deCarle Trio, is there any chance, as we speak here on August 17, 2026, any chance of a reunion of a Prairie Oyster getting back together and performing live?
Gee, I don't think so. I don't really see it, but who knows? Never say never.
Never say never. Okay, that's a James Bond movie, I think. Okay, so Russell deCarle Trio.
I steal from the best.
Tell me, who are the other two in that trio?
Well, it's the original Russell deCarle Trio was Steve Briggs and Dennis Keldy, the great Dennis Keldy, who's an amazing keyboard player and writer in his own. He's a fantastic writer as well. Dennis is. He's a wonderful singer, but really known as a multi-keyboard player, particularly amazing organist and a legitimate accordion player. Plays jazz gigs on accordion. He's the real deal. He's a two-handed accordion player, or the Belly Baldwin, or the Stomach Steinway, as he would like to refer to it. So Dennis was and he's all over my. He played with Oyster a little bit too. He would play on some of it. He played on a few of our records, and was a good friend. So when I thought about doing my own thing, at first it was a duo, and then I hired Dennis to do some stuff, and with me, and we worked together for quite a few years. And we also made a Russell deCarle Trio album with Steve and Dennis and I, which was all cover songs. And I think we worked that, so that would have been from, I don't know, whatever years they were, but I think Dennis, I did my last show with him probably 2016 or 17, something like that.
Okay. Well, can I play a little something?
Sure.
Yeah.
A little something.
You gonna stop me?
They're having a time, laughing and loud. All I feel is alone in this crowd. Alone in this crowd. Try as I might, all I can see, dark cloud gaining on me. Gaining on me. In my dreams you come running back to me and say, darling, how could I be so blind? I awake to a reality going out of my mind. Sad it's come to this.
What are we listening to, Russell?
This is Alone in This Crowd, my my second solo album. And you're listening to a lot of wonderful musicians there. Dennis Keldy on a Fender or on a Wurlitzer piano there. John Sheard on a grand piano. My buddy Steve Briggs on guitar. Russ Boswell on the bass. The great Al Cross on drums. Cindy Church and Michelle Willis on backup vocals. Wow, I think I've got everyone there. And myself on acoustic guitar and vocals.
Oh, you're on this song?
And yeah, I'm there. And I wrote this song.
Love it. Okay, is this your most recent release?
No.
Okay.
No, my most recent release is an album called The End of the Road, which people go, when I tell them that, they say, is there something you need to tell us? But it's just that I live at the end of a road, and these songs were conceived there.
Yeah, The End of the
And
Road.
I went back to
sounds like
'96. My dear friend Don Rook, also a wonderful musician and photographer and a great pal. Don has a band, of course, called the Henrys, which is amazing. Here's a guy you should probably.
You had me at
some
hello,
point.
Russell.
And so I went back to '96 for that picture in my yard taken by.
It is
Don
true,
Rook.
though. If you put out an album, The End of the Road, people do think this is your farewell.
That's it.
You going to make another album?
I hope so.
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
we'll have to rename this if you do that. No, I get the origin here. Okay, so I love how this sounds. I love what you're up to. You're you're out there performing your music. Are you comfortable? Because I'm sure a lot of people yell at you to play Prairie Oyster songs.
You know, I thought that might be an issue, but it wasn't. I remember the first gig I did on my own, first pretty large gig I did on my own, was in Bragg Creek at a community center there, and that's like the heart of Prairie Oyster love out there, man, in Alberta, and it's Saskatchewan Prairies. We played out there a ton.
They think you're from the prairies.
Well, yeah, exactly. But we sold just a ton of records out there, and I was afraid that I saw it. God, I had a full house, and I thought, oh my God, I wonder if these people are going to be expecting me to do that, because I only do not even a handful of Oyster stuff. But it was great. They were happy to hear me sing, and people were lined up afterwards, wanted to get autographs and buy my new CD, and so it's been pretty great. I mean, I'm really proud of what I did with Oyster, but I mean, this is at this point in my life, it's really great to get to tell my own story.
Yeah, I know. I can hear that and appreciate that. But you know how difficult people are. The anecdote I always think. So it was about 10 years ago. 10 years ago Thursday, I think, is the final ever The Tragically Hip concert from Kingston, Ontario. And I remember before we knew Gord was sick, I remember like The Tragically Hip would play now it's called the Scotiabank Arena, but it was Air Canada Centre. They would go there. They could do like 2 or 3 nights in a row, sell it out, right? But then Gord would be going solo, and Gord would be like playing like tiny little venues or free festivals and all these things. And that brand name, like the Tragically Hip brand, would get 20,000 paying customers in the seats, and seeing Gord Downey solo would like not even close. So it's this, like, what I would say, the weight of the brand name. And I wonder, what is it like for you with, this brand name in the rearview mirror? You're not playing a lot of Prairie Oyster. Do people still come out to see the guy who was from Prairie Oyster?
Yeah, I get a bit of that, and I have a whole new audience as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Alone in This Crowd was great. Yeah.
Happy to play. I mean, I think people say, "Oh, you must be kind of weird playing these little venues when you're." As long as I'm getting to play, as long as I get to play, honestly,
You look happy to me.
I'm a happy guy. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's remarkable.
You held on to your hair. You're doing well here. Okay. So the official Toronto historian of the Toronto Mike podcast is a guy named Jeremy Hopkin. He comes on every quarter, and he wrote me a note just because you were coming over. He wrote me a note and just said, 10 years ago, I saw the Russell deCarle, he called him the Russell deCarle Band, perform in the attic of the former Annie House in Scarborough. Built in 1867. It's now a pub called the Stone Cottage. He says it was kind of like an intimate and interactive show. He said it was fantastic, but I guess he yelled at you or requested you perform a Prairie Oysters song, and you guys said that you couldn't, but you'd play one of your songs, which he said was fantastic. But he sent that note, and I just wondered if you're reticent to, play too many songs from your previous chapter of your songwriting life.
A little bit, but I did those songs for so long, and I've got so much new stuff of my own. So, I feel like I've really come into my own as a writer, and
you've moved on.
Yeah, I have, and I do a few things, and I also don't think it's fair to the rest of the band for me to be doing that kind of thing. If we're going to do that, then.
Right.
Yeah.
You go to see a Wings concert. You don't just get Beatles. Come on, right?
Exactly.
There you go. That's
that's it.
You're the Paul McCartney of this country.
Yeah.
You know who was with not with, but was in the audience with Jeremy Hopkin when he watched you at the Stone Cottage. Fellow FOTM. FOTM means friend of Toronto Mic'd. Russell, you're now an FOTM. But you know who else is an FOTM? Greg Godovitz was there.
Greg Godovitz, I know. Greg, I covet his bass that I think he got from his high school music teacher. I believe he got it. I think it's a 51. Anyway, he's got this K bass that he has. It's amazing. Greg is fantastic. He's the real deal, man, that cat.
Yeah. I was living in the valley, the Warren Park Valley, and he was playing the Lambton Tavern down there, which is another historical venue. And they say, hey, Jeremy, if you're listening, we should do a live recording from the Lambton Tavern down in the valley. We should do that. Okay, that's me communicating to Jeremy via podcast. That's my first. You got another? Oh, no, you can say it on the mic.
That's the first album.
Okay, so I have here, which I want to say thank you very much. This is a good trade.
So there's 3 albums there. I don't have the live or the trio album there, but these are my 3 studio records. So first was called Under the Big Sky, which is a homage to all those people living under the big sky out west. And
you this Airstream here,
that was mine. Yeah,
I'm jealous.
It's my backyard.
I want one.
I still have the suit and the boots, but I don't have the Airstream anymore.
Okay, love it. And although you're not wearing blue in that one, okay. But we have Alone in This Crowd. I played a song from Alone in This Crowd. Very cool. And then we got The End of the Road, which hopefully is not the end of the road for you, Russell.
People can find this stuff too on just go to my website and order. They can order them. I'm
shout
not
out
on Spotify.
your website. You're not on Spotify.
No, russelldecarle.com, and there'll be a sales link.
And I'll spell it there because deCarle has an E at the end.
Yes.
So DECARLE. I'm also not on Spotify. I'm not
2 S's, 2 L's.
Right. Russell. Shout out to Russell Martin. But your people can go to your website, find out where to see you live and where to get your music and to support great music. But the big question, I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Any regrets that you kind of have gone on this different path with the new music? Any regrets that there's no more Prairie Oyster?
No, I'm not really that guy. I kind of move on.
Does it annoy you when guys like me keep asking you about that old band you haven't been in many, many years?
No, it's flattering. No, I appreciate it. Yeah. I think people are kind of surprised, but I just really feel it's important to keep moving on, and as a musician. And
well, keep on keeping on, Russell deCarle. I love this very much. On your long drive here, was there any anecdote or story or anything you wanted to share, and then you didn't get a chance to do it? And
fortunately, it was pretty uneventful, the drive here today, and they aren't always. I've had a few that weren't. I've spent a lot of time on the road.
Well, that's mainly in the winter,
still
right?
Do. Well, you never know.
You never know. Well, man, I gotta say,
defensively,
I wasn't sure where you were coming from today, but I did feel like a pang of guilt.
Physically or
emotionally,
where I was coming from.
Because I figure if you were in Bob Clark's backyard, so I thought,
and I could end up anywhere. I mean, yeah.
I figured, okay, well, he knows the neighborhood. You can get back here, and of course, you got to get your hair cut. How often do you cut that hair?
Oh, it varies. If I should have probably scheduled one for today.
Well, I would have joined you
since I'm in the neighborhood. But I'm going to turn you on to her.
You're going to turn me on to her, and I hope Gary Chowan's not listening. He'll be jealous. But Gary, it's all about geography, okay? This woman's in my backyard here. But man, thank you so much. I love your voice.
Thank you.
I love the new stuff. I love the old stuff. I love that you're here, and I can't wait to take a photo with you by Toronto Tree. Thank you, Russell deCarle, for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you. And boy, I'm looking forward to tucking.
Well, that's empty. Don't get upset.
You gave me an empty box. Whoa, hold it.
Hold
Smoke
the
and
mirrors. Hold away.
Palma pasta. Excuse me. It's a little.
The scam has been revealed.
Say the old pasta's a little light.
He's like a whistleblower. He's like, oh, those 1,500 episodes where Mike gave out a lasagna? Empty box. No, man. In fact, I bet you strain to carry this lasagna when I give it to you. It's in my freezer right now. But you're going to be like, oh, man. It's a lot of lasagna. So you're getting the lasagna. You've got the beer. You've got everything. And, man, I appreciate you being here. I think I said that too many times. But
I appreciate
when people come from that far, I always think, I hope it's worth it for them, because I know I'm going to have a great time, but, I'm worried about you, Russell. Consider it.
I'll be waiting to hear. You never know. Well, people that listen that go, hey, I heard you on.
Yeah. But you know what? They'll be saying, where the hell is this guy? Why aren't you on Spotify? Like, is there a reason you're not on Spotify, or is it just you?
Yeah, because I don't see a dime. Like, literally not a dime. There's just no money there. I need to find another delivery service, but Spotify, there is not a cent to artists.
Well, then you would maybe agree that game is rigged.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they finally figured out how to take all the money.
And that brings us to the end of our one.
That's it? That was the last word. They finally, wow.
Yeah, I
People
thought...
are going to say, oh, he's that guy.
I thought that was a good closing time. Because I had a moment of like, oh, is that the last word? And I realized, yes. And that brings us to the end of our 1,952nd show, 1952. Wow. Go to TorontoMike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs, but get your ass to RussellDeCarle.com and buy some great music and see him live.
I just bought some new envelopes the other day.
Okay. Everybody do that. That's an order.
Sharpie's at the ready.
Much love to all who made this possible. Again, that is Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball, Nick Iones, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow, and my special guest is City Councillor Amber Morley.